Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. In this game, we're going to be looking at the unit that's really been defining Teamfight Tactics over the course of the last week, and that unit is Irelia, and we're going to be seeing her played into an Innovator's team composition, which is one of the more common team setups that she gets played into. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we have our initial starting carousel. This is a normal game, although I think over half the lobby is made up of people who are in Diamond, so pretty good opponents in this one. I was going for the sword on the initial carousel. I did not get the sword on the initial carousel, so I'm going to end up taking the Poppy with the rod and go from there. So since the last time that I recorded a video, it's been about a week into this particular patch version. I mentioned before that there has been a new patch every single week of set 6.5. There was the release version, then there was a B patch to the release version, then the first full official patch, and then another B patch for that patch. So 4 weeks, 4 patches. The developers cannot seem to stop tinkering, but we are supposed to be in a 3-week period where there will be no further changes because the Teamfight Tactics developers and League of Legends in general is taking a quick break so that they can focus on more big picture stuff and think about changes. So TFT finally remaining in a state with some actual stability for the next couple of weeks. So anyway, long story short, we've been on the same patch for about a week now. First time we've had some actual stability, really, in this set 6.5 at all, because it's been changing so much on a week-by-week basis. And people have kind of figured out this particular patch. As far as these options, I don't really love any of them. I'm going to end up taking First Aid Kit because it's just kind of a general augment. And then here I find both a Singed and a Zillion, which means I'm going to look to play Innovators here at the start of the game. And I'll be quite happy with that, even though my items are not amazing for Innovators. So as I said, we've kind of finally had some stability here on this particular patch. And what's emerged is that Innovators are very strong in this patch, as they have been really throughout most of set 6.5. And in addition, Irelia has emerged as kind of the unit. She is the unit that's shaping the metagame right now. Even though Irelia has actually been nerfed in the last 3 patches, so yeah, 3 consecutive patches worth of nerfs, and she's still really strong, even regardless of that fact. So she is still being played. Basically, people have kind of figured out how to maximize her effectiveness, which largely revolves around playing her on the Socialite Spotlight and playing her with 3 socialites most of the time in a comp that otherwise could be pretty flexible. Irelia can pick up a whole bunch of different things. She uses a whole bunch of different spatulas really well. She's a very good assassin. She can, of course, make use of the striker spatula because she herself is a striker. So you can always make a striker spatula and allow you to play more strikers in her team comp. But Irelia works well with a 4 striker build. She works well with an innovator build. She has scrap, so she works really well in a scrap 4 or a scrap 6 build. And she's really, as I said, has been kind of the dominant unit in these patches, in this patch for the last week. People are just playing a ton of her, and she's really been kind of dominating how the metagame has been set up. By putting her on a Socialite tile that has the 3 spotlight, you can just go full damage on her, and then she will heal off of having the innate healing from Socialite 3, and that's what people have kind of been doing. So we're going to see a build that plays into that. I did not start this game with the intention of playing into Irelia, but again, one nice thing about Innovators, and one reason why Innovators have such high win rates in this patch, they are kind of the team composition with the highest win rate, is that they can play so easily into a unit like Irelia. Irelia can be played as the carry. You can play something like Jhin as the carry. You can play Jinx or Jace if you hit them early on. If you happen to get lucky enough and hit an early Jinx or an early Jace, you can put AD items on basically any of these units and have pretty good results with them. I know I've certainly shown Innovators being played with Jhin a whole bunch of different times. Anyway, so that's all getting down the road. Let's focus on what's going on in this game right now before we get into some of that stuff. So I'm playing Innovators. My board is entirely 1 stars, but Innovators pretty good in the early game since you get to play the extra unit. That Scarab might not have a lot of health or a lot of damage with 3 Innovators that are all 1 star, but it is another unit that gets to be on the board, and that's innately quite good. When most people are playing 3 or 4 units, if you get 1 extra unit, that's a pretty big increase. As far as what I've done with my items, I went ahead, I had a cloak and a and a cloak and a vest drop from the initial minion round. So I went ahead and made them into Gargoyle Stoneplate. I don't think that that's like amazing as an item, but I wanted to make good use of them, and I didn't like the other stuff that built out of them. I didn't want to make a locket. I didn't want to make an Ionic Spark. So made the Gargoyle Stoneplate. It'll scale well throughout the rest of the game, and just put it on Singed as a frontliner. And now I'm hoping that I'll be able to 2-star the Singed, because that would make him much tankier. He has a lot of resistances right now, but his base health is so low as a 1-star unit that he's actually not that tanky because he just dies so quickly. Other than that, I have a Rod on my bench that I haven't been able to find a use for. I'm hoping that I can find an Echo and then put it on Echo, and he'll be able to roll a scrap item from that, like a Morello's or Death Cap or something in these fights. This particular round, I was hoping that I would win because I was at 9 gold. I was able to position well for this fight. I think that I should have lost that fight. I think the other board was stronger than what I had, but Blitzcrank got a pull on the 2-star Caitlyn, and that was enough to allow us to win the fight, even though, as I said, I think my board was probably weaker than what that person was running. All right, for this carousel, so I have the Rod on my bench. I can always try to make an item out of that. I thought about maybe doing that, but then I saw that there was a sword on a 3 gold unit, and I said, that's going to be more useful here. I can put this on Ezreal. He will roll a scrap item off the sword, and sword is probably his best item to be rolling a scrap item off of. Pretty much anything that he rolls is going to be good. A bow is also pretty good on him. A glove also pretty good, but I think the bow is probably his best option. All right, here I'm going to go ahead and level. I had these Dariuses on my bench. That's because Darius would allow me to make Bodyguard. And there wasn't really anything else out there that I would play over that. For instance, I would probably play like a Camille if I could find that for Clockwork. Camille's a decent frontliner in the early game, and that would combine well with the Zillion, but haven't found her yet, haven't found an Echo yet, so I think that the Darius is probably the best I can do. I don't think playing an Arcanist, or like, look at my other options. I don't think like Swain or Brand is going to do much of anything. So I actually have 3 pairs in. I have all 1-star units with 3 pairs, so I think I'm trying to do the best I can, even though I'm not especially hitting Innovator units thus far, but at least I do have the trait in, 3 Innovator, 2 Scrap, 2 Bodyguard, not bad here in the early game. And this person that I'm up against also seems to have a board of all 1-stars. So if it's 1-stars against 1-stars, my comp's going to do just fine. I'm going to run into trouble if I actually have to hit any 2-star units on the other boards, but so far so good. And I've been able to preserve health pretty well here, despite the fact that I'm not exactly high rolling this early in the game. All right, there is one person who hasn't lost yet. They're on a full win streak, so I was hoping that I would not hit that person. I'm on a 3-round win streak. It's actually pretty important for me to try to win this round and run the win streak out to a 4-match win streak. It's worth an awful lot of money if I can do that. So I'm just praying that I'm not going to hit this person. Those board I'm looking at right now is on the full win streak. I actually think I beat both of the other boards, but I definitely don't beat that person who's on 100 HP. They have 5 Chemtech in already. They have a Warwick with good Warwick items. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to beat that person. I'm actually up against a couple Assassin boards, potentially. So I actually shift the position for Assassin boards. But then I was like, oh, well, unfortunately, I did hit the one comp that I'm pretty confident I can't beat. And so just as I expect, this is not going to end up being a win. Ezreal did get 2-starred, which was a big hit for me, but even with the Deathblade, there's no way he can deal with this Warwick. Warwick has Rageblade Titans, which means he ramps up super hard over the course of the fights, and he's got 5 Chemtech in on 2-6. I cannot deal with 5 Chemtech this early in the game. It's way too much healing and way too much attack speed when that kicks in. So I don't win that fight, and that turns out to be a really important round because it means that other player is going to have an awful lot of money to play around with, and my econ is going to be slowed down considerably. I would be much, much, much richer if I had been able to keep that win streak going here into the minion round, but sometimes that's the case. Sometimes there's 3 comps and you beat 2 out of the 3, and you just random RNG puts you up against the one you can't beat. So it is what it is. There's nothing that can be done about that, but slightly bad result from RNG there, since I'm pretty confident I would have beaten the other 2 comps, the other 2 teams that I could potentially hit. All right, so I do hit the 2-star Darius there. That's nice. Darius is not a particularly important unit in this comp, but it's still nice to hit. And then I find several more Dariuses, a unit I am not trying to 3-star. So I'll go ahead and, sell them. And then I have the Ziggs. I was like, do I want to sell Ziggs to get to 30? No. Hold off on doing that. Why is that? Because if I find Echo, I would drop the Darius, and then I'd play the Ziggs plus Echo for 4 scrap, which I think is stronger than the other options. I also get double gloves there, so there is the potential option to make a Thief's Glove, but I think it's much better at this stage of the game, early on, to combine the sword into an Infinity Edge, and then I have a second glove sitting there left over. So this could be a Last Whisper for Infinity Edge plus Last Whisper. It also can be a Quicksilver Sash if I want to build items towards a future Irelia. Irelia really, really wants a Quicksilver Sash, just like the one Ezreal has rolled right here for his free scrap item. Because as a melee unit, Irelia, has the big weakness of getting caught in crowd control, getting locked up and getting stuck on enemy units. So she really, really wants a Quicksilver Sash if at all possible. It's probably like Infinity Edge, Quicksilver, and then her last item can be, like Last Whisper for more damage. I guess if you get a bunch of swords, it could be a Deathblade. You can always make a Bloodthirster or a Hand of Justice. Those are okay options. Bloodthirster a little bit better. You get the idea. But she really, really wants Infinity Edge plus Quicksilver Sash as kind of like her core items, and then it can go from there. There's less of a need for Bloodthirster if you're going to play her on the Spotlight tile. If you can get 3 Socialite and play her on the Spotlight tile. All right, so I go ahead and level 6. This is the standard time to level to 6 on stage 3-2 because it costs 12 gold to do so. And I'm going to be at 28 gold, which is pretty solid. If I win the round, I can sell Ziggs for 30 gold, which I would not mind doing. Just tossing Camille for Clockwork. And my board's feeling pretty solid right now. 2-star Ez, 2-star Darius, 2-star Blitzcrank. So I've got a bunch of tanks in here. If there's one thing that's lacking is my damage is a little bit low. Basically, Ezreal is the only one who does any damage whatsoever. So I need to keep him safe in these battles. That's why I'm kind of putting him in the back corner next to Blitzcrank, letting Blitzcrank pull a unit for him to kill at the start of every fight, and then just kind of going from there. But so far, it's been working pretty well. I've been winning against everyone other than that Chemtech Warwick player who has not lost a round yet and is going to be a major concern in this game. Obviously, that person's going to be super rich. They are clearly going for Warwick and Tryndamere reroll, and I'm going to have to deal with them at some point if I want to win this game later on. So that's a comp I was definitely keeping an eye on. I was hoping that someone would beat them because you want to stop them from getting that much income from being on a full match streak. All right, options here, Stand United, Phalanx, Bodyguard Heart. Bodyguard Heart is a no. I don't want that. I'm not playing into Bodyguards long term. Phalanx is a possibility. Units in the back row get extra armor and magic resistance. Not bad by any means. But I think that Stand United is probably a little bit better. I think Stand United is going to scale better over the course of the game. Phalanx, because it gives flat armor and magic resistance a little bit better in the early game, but doesn't scale quite as well as the game goes on. By the way, note the other comp that I highlighted there, the W Asian Spartan 3000. They've picked up True Justice Augment, which is something you don't see very often. It means that Enforcer units do true damage. I think it's like 80% of their damage is true damage or something like that. It got enormously buffed in the most recent patch for no reason whatsoever. Went from 50% to 80%. So now means that Enforcer units are going to be dealing true damage on that person's comp. And that person is apparently going to reroll for Caitlyn 3-star because they have that Enforcer augment. So that's another comp that I was keeping my eye on as well, because those look like the ones that were most likely to be problematic long-term. The Warwick reroller because they still haven't lost yet, and then that augment because it's really got buffed to a stupid level for no particular reason. All right, we got another fight here. Ezreal got tagged at the beginning of the fight by something. I think it was some kind. I think it was a singed fling or something. But in any case, he took some damage. I was really glad he rolled the Hand of Justice in this fight to get a little bit of lifesteal coming in, which meant that he was able to just barely get some health back slowly over the course of the fight. Or it was a Syndra Fling, excuse me, not a Singe Fling, a Syndra Fling that put the Leona next to him. So he's able to lifesteal enough that he doesn't die over the course of the fight, because I am still like a 1 damage comp right now. It's basically just Ezreal, nothing else. A lot of tanks in Ezreal. All right, so here I was looking for something like another, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted here, but a bow would have been nice, or as I said, a cloak would have been nice for Quicksilver. None of that's there, so I was like, I guess I'm going to take this rod. I guess it's not really what I wanted, but I mean, I guess I could always make a death cap on like a Seraphine later on. There is the possibility to play into that. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll take this. I like it more than the other options, although I don't really like this as an option very much at all. So yeah, I took the rod. I didn't feel like a tier would be any better. I mean, I guess it could have been Hand of Justice or an Archangels, but like none of the units I'm playing here get good use of that. So there really was basically nothing I wanted on that carousel. It was just 2 rods and a tier as options. So I took the rod. It was on a 4 gold champ, so that's kind of nice. But I'll have to try to figure something out with this. Again, I was planning on using these items on an Echo, but I have not seen any Echoes yet, which is a little bit bad because I'm playing Innovators and Scrap. Now, here's kind of a weird round. This person is playing Assassins, but they have double, what is it? They have double Zephyrs on their 2 Assassins. A Zephyr on Twitch and then a Zephyr on Talon. So it's like, okay, well, you managed to Zephyr out the Ezreal and you managed to Zephyr out the Zillion, but then nothing happened because you have no damage on your Assassins. So that's why going a gazillion Zephyrs early on doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's like, okay, so this person Zephyred out my carries, but they're playing through Assassins, and their Assassins have Zephyrs, so they just have no damage in their comp whatsoever. I think they have a VIP Talon, but VIP Talon is not going to carry with a Zephyr as its item, so yeah, whatever. All right, we are in the same position as at the end of Stage 2. I've win streaked all through Stage 3, and now if I can win one more round, I can carry this win streak into the minion stage, get that extra round of higher income. So again, I'm just hoping I'm not going to hit the Chemtech Reroller player. And who do I hit? Yep, I hit the Chemtech Reroller player again. I was like, are you kidding me? This guy again? And this person has now hit Warwick 2-star because they are super duper rich. They've been re-rolling on level 6. You can see they're level 6 with max gold in the bank. So once again, the Warwick just is way too strong. There's very little I can do at this stage of the game. In order to stop the Warwick, he just ramps up way too much with Rageblade plus Titans. And again, 5 Chemtech in the team composition for crazy healing. So there's just nothing I can do. I do not have enough damage to stop that. I desperately need to get some kind of anti-healing in my comp if I'm going to deal with that, because Chemtech is going to heal to an absurd degree, and I absolutely have to cut into that healing to stop that from happening. So, like I said, not much I can do. Just, again, somewhat bad RNG in that I once again hit the only perk comp that I probably can't beat. Once again, end my win streak. So this person is super duper rich. They've won 10 rounds in a row. And I am so concerned about this person's comp that I am going to grab this Warwick and stash it on my bench. I know they're re-rolling for Warwick 3-star. I'm like, all right, I will be the scumbag. I think you are probably my biggest threat to winning this game. I will go ahead and stuff this Warwick on my bench to try to stop you from hitting Warwick 3-star and hold Warwicks. I will be that scumbag, yes. All right, so what else is going on here? Well, I've gone ahead and gotten, a vest and a sword, which is not ideal. I guess I can make Edge of Night with that, but that item is not really what I'm looking for. I decided I would hold the sword and maybe try to make some other item with it. I can't make double infinity. I can't put 2 infinity edges on, as it's not going to work. The item will just pop up on him, and I don't want 2 infinity edges. So I'll hold the sword on my bench right now, but I did want to make use of some of these items, so I decided I'd make a locket. And I thought that that was worthwhile to do because there were quite a few assassin players in this lobby. So I thought locketing my backline would actually be pretty useful here in order to increase the tankiness of the units back there. We've already seen that one person was playing the VIP Talon with the bizarre Zephyr. This person has a more intelligent Talon comp, with Talon having Quicksilver Sash and a Rapid Fire Cannon. But I thought with people jumping onto my backline, with backline access on some of these other team comps, the locket would not go to waste. Obviously, Zillion's only a 1-star unit, so I'm not getting full value from it yet, but he'll be 2-starred soon enough. I'm confident that I will be able to 2-star Zillion at some point in this game, and he's a good holder for the item. The other unit that I put in was a Gnar, and I just kind of randomly needed to add another unit. Again, the unit I wanted to put in was Echo, but I have not found Echo at any point in time in this game. So I was like, all right, well, let's make use of the Socialite Spotlight. Here's a Gnar. So I picked up the Gnar and just stuck him on the Spotlight. It's up in the front row, so Gnar can use it just fine. He's going to transform, and he'll get the benefit of the Spotlight. I don't want to put Ezreal up there, obviously, and no one else in my team has any damage whatsoever. So I picked up one Gnar, and then there was another Gnar in the shop, and then there was a third Gnar in the shop, so I just kind of randomly made a 2-star version of this unit. And I was like, all right, well, this isn't terrible. This does really feed into the Irelia option later on. The Spotlight's in the front rank, which is where Irelia likes to have the Spotlight. I think the second row is probably best for her because when it's in the first row, she can tend to get stuck on tanks a little bit more often. But front row is a good spot for her to have the spotlight. Gnar brings a rank of Socialite, and he also brings Striker trait, which will pair with Irelia, who is Scrap plus Striker. So this was getting me to start thinking, hey, maybe I'm not playing like Jhin or Jace or Jinx in this game. The J units, Jhin or Jace or Jhin, Jinx. I can never say their names. Maybe this is an Irelia game. I was starting to think in that direction. As always, it's going to depend on what I hit, but I do have pretty good Irelia items. If I can be able to, like I've got the Infinity Edge and another glove, and I have another sword here as well. So like if I can make Last Whisperer or Quicksilver and then toss a sword on top for that last item where she could roll another scrap item, that would be pretty good. That would be pretty good. So that's also why I picked up the Senna here, because Senna gives me another rank of Socialite. I'm playing Innovator, so I'm going to want to play Seraphine. That gets me one rank of Spotlight of the Socialite Spotlight, plus Gnar, plus Seraphine. That gets me to 3 ranks of the Socialite Spotlight. All right, so this time I'm up against the Syndicate player. And a quick word about Syndicates. So Syndicates got super strong in the last patch, or I should say the non-B version of this patch. And then they got nerfed pretty heavily in this most recent patch, in the B version of this patch. They are actually not very strong at all. The win rates on all the Syndicate units fell off precipitously. So even though this person got a Syndicate emblem, and they were able to win that particular round, with sadly Ezreal's Quicksilver Sash timing out right as he was about to get hit, even though that did not end up working out for me in that round, Syndicate's just not that strong anymore. So I've kind of moved away from playing Syndicate comps for that reason. Sadly, the Irelia with the cloak gets taken. That would have been awesome. It would have been Quicksilver Sash plus Infinity Edge Irelia. Would have been absolutely great. I would have just transferred the items off Ezreal immediately. So I don't get that, but I do get a belt here. And this is super important because remember how the Warwick comp has insane healing? They finally did lose a round. They finally lost, I think, after a 12-round winning streak or something like that. Well, I need to get anti-heal into my comp. And there's a Seraphine, so I can make Morellos and put Seraphine in my comp. And now that takes me up to 4 Innovators. So I see that there's an Irelia in the store. Do I pick up the Irelia here? Yes. I do pick that up. So I'm like, all right, what unit am I going to play? I'm looking just for where I can move my Ezreal items over to. So I am getting some replacement Ezreals. That's not bad. I'm going to replace the Camille with a Orianna. And there's another Irelia in the store, so I'm definitely going to pick that up. And I run out of time. I haven't quite managed to find my next unit yet. I'm, again, thinking Irelia, but I found 2 out of 3. I haven't quite managed to find another Irelia yet. And now my bench has gotten really full. Once again, I'm up against the Assassin player with the absolutely bizarre double Zephyr setup, and it was like, all right, well, I knew that I would get double Zephyred if I hit this board, but I still wanted to play my carries on the right-hand side because on the left-hand side, they get jumped on by Talon. So yeah, okay, Ezreal gets Zephyred, Seraphine gets Zephyred. It's still better to be on right-hand side. Like, it's still better regardless. Okay, now we're going to get the last augment right here, and this augment is going to prove to be very important in this game. Because, wait for it. All right, finally we get to see the augment. This is pre-recorded footage. We are going to get Innovator Soul, which is the best augment in the game. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. Innovator Soul is the best augment in the game. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. Note that I make the 2-star Irelia and I make the 2-star Seraphine. So I might not have seen Jhin or Jace or Jinx, the J units, but I sure did find a 2-star Irelia fast. So I will take that. And now I want to move into 3 Socialites, so there we go. Now I just need to do a little bit repositioning here. I am getting +2 Innovators, so I've got the Innovator Bear, and I want to get into the Innovator Dragon soon enough, but I actually need to find I think I need to find Echo or Jace to do that. So for the time being, I still need a little bit more time to fiddle with my team comp. I'm going to hold here for right now. And I'm going to make use of Irelia, 5 Innovator, 3 Socialite, 2 Clockwork, 2 Enchanter, 2 Scrap, 2 Striker. This should be pretty decent with hitting 2-star Irelia this easily. It actually turned out that very few people were playing Irelia in this game. There's only one other person who's playing her, which is surprising given how popular she's been. So now we get to see Irelia in action here. The sad thing is, what unit does Irelia choose to focus? Oh, she chooses to focus on Gnar with a Bramble Vest. Well, that's not what I want. And then she's going to get time bombed by the Zillion. And so she's not going to do a whole lot in this fight, and she's kind of all of my damage, unfortunately. So yeah, this fight's not actually going to go all that well. Irelia deciding to put her ability onto the Bramble Vest Gnar was pretty bad. And then she gets Time Bomb Bazillion. So you can see why she really wants a Quicksilver Sash, so that she does not get crowd controlled. I don't know that I'm going to have the opportunity to get that, though. That's why I have not committed items to Irelia yet. I wanted to see if I could get a cloak to pop out here in the minion round. So I'm waiting to see what I get before I make any final choices about what her items are going to be. I also have quite a few 1-stars on my board. By the way, remember how I hit Irelia and Seraphine super fast, but I have 1-stars, Senna. I have 1-star Singed. I've never managed to find a 3rd Singe, so what the heck there. And let's see what items I'm going to get here. I get, ooh, so this is interesting. I get double swords, and then I get a spatula. It's actually really bad to get a spatula this late because there's no opportunity to build items. You don't get any more components. But due to dumb luck, I actually happen to have something that's super useful here regardless. So we're going to move into Innovators. So we're going to go ahead and move that unit out, and then I need to get Ez back in. That gets us to 7 Innovators. So look what I can do here. 2 swords on Irelia, and Assassin Emblem. We've got the Echo in here, so we get 1/2 of Assassin. And then we can make the Assassin Spatula item, and that goes on Irelia. And it turns out that she is a fantastic assassin in this game, because that allows her to jump into the back lines and immediately start focusing the squishy carries on the enemy team. So how does Irelia's ability work if you're new to this? Well, she has a reset-based ability. She has low mana cost. When her mana bar fills up, she will charge towards the enemy unit. If she kills the unit, she then charges again at the next, I believe it's the next lowest health target that she goes after. I do not have the cheat sheet open in front of me, which I probably should have had here. So she's a reset-based champion. She needs to get that first kill, and by jumping in the back lines, she can do that really, really effectively. So this is one of her absolute best items, and she's a really good spatula holder. All right, so we also made Innovator 7, and that means I get the dragon in play. This is the first time I've been able to make Innovator 7 in set 6.5. It's much harder to get this now just because you see the Innovator Heart and the Innovator Soul much less frequently here, because there's a whole bunch of other garbage augments like Disintegrator and Electrocharge and whatnot now clogging up the ranks of what you can get from augments. So it's much harder to find this now, but if you can find it, that's quite nice. Oh, there's that dragon going off again, applying a 4-second fear to the entire board. Hey, remember that Warwick comp that has only lost 1 round the entire game? Yeah, we just destroyed that comp. It wasn't even close. So yeah, they've made 3-star Warwick, they've made 3-star Quinn, but we just dumpstered that team composition because Warwick, for all of his strength, does not have a Quicksilver Sash, and that means he is not immune to crowd control. So if the dragon goes off and fears him, that Warwick is very vulnerable. And what I'm planning right now is I'm just going to go straight to level 9. I feel like my board is strong enough to do that, even though I have a bunch of 1-stars, just because Irelia is so strong right now. I'm going to go to level 9, and then my plan was I will play either Orianna for Clockwork plus Enchanter, or I'll look to play Jinx, and that will give me 4 scrap. And I think either one of those will be pretty handy. And of course, I will look to find Jace and replace this really, really dinky little 1-star Singed with the Jace. So that's my other goal. Now here's the other comp that I'm tracking. This is the Enforcer True Justice board, and look what they have here. They have Enforcer trait, which is no surprise. They're playing through Enforcer trait, but Irelia has the most health on my board, and that's kind of bad because she's getting Enforcered at the start of the fights, and that means she does not jump into the back line with Assassin trait, and she gets frozen for 4 seconds at the start of the fight, because she actually has the most health on my team right now. So this is going to cause her not to be quite as effective. I mean, she still kills most of the enemy team, but she also gets hit with a zillion time bomb, and so that's going to result in a loss. And that Caitlyn did like 16,000 true damage. Crazy. So yeah, that was not quite what I was looking for. And I was like, all right, that comp is now win streaking. That one also is a threat. So I would really like to get to a position where Irelia is not the unit being enforcered. So I need to get another unit with more health than Irelia. Here on this carousel, I could have taken a Scrap Emblem, could have taken a Clockwork Emblem. I decided I'd take the Clockwork Emblem and then just play Jinx at level 9. This allows me not to have to play Orianna, who would not be a bad unit, don't get me wrong, but now I can skip playing Orianna and still get Clockwork, which is going to be super nice. And the game giveth. It hands me a Jinx right here. So now I have the unit that I can play at level 9. Okay, so we've got a minute here where I can talk about other stuff. Let's again talk a bit about Innovator Soul, because that's the augment I pulled there. This was a ridiculous high roll. I said that it's the best augment in the game. That's not my opinion. That's basically a mathematical fact that this is the best augment in the game right now. There are websites where you can look at the statistics on how the augments perform, and Innovator Soul is heads and tails stronger than any of the other augments in the game. It's not even close. It's better than every other prismatic augment. It's better than every other augment, period. By the way, little positioning notice here. I positioned the dragon on the right-hand side so Tahm Kench can't eat him. The dragon's a Colossus unit. Tahm Kench cannot eat the dragon, and that kind of causes this team comp to fall apart as soon as I do that. So the stats on Innovator Soul, the average win rate of Innovator Soul, or average finish on Innovator Soul, I should say, it has an average finish of 3.5, which is like absurdly good. The second highest when I looked at this was Share the Spotlight, the Prismatic Share the Spotlight, and that had an average finish of 3.82. So yeah, 3.5 to 3.82. It's basically the same difference between the best augment, Innovator Soul, and the second best augment, Share the Spotlight, as the difference between the second best augment and like the 20th best augment. It's like that big of a difference. Innovator Soul is heads and shoulders above every single other augment in the game. It also gets picked by people when it shows up 85% of the time. 85% of the time people pick this when it pops up as an option. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's maybe a little bit overpowered. So this is, again, a fight where you get to see Assassin Irelia shining. She jumps in the backline, jumps instantly on the Quinn in the backline, and then just proceeds to delete the entire enemy team in seconds flat. This team comp, the Warwick reroller, again, still in a relatively strong position, like 3-star Warwick, 3-star Tryndamere, definitely comps you have to pay attention to. But that person took Prismatic Windfall for their last augment. That just gives you 45 gold. So they're basically down a Prismatic augment. It's like I get the dragon, they get 45 gold. Now, the 45 gold, not bad. It allows them to hit some of their 3 stars. But come on, not even close. The augments are not especially well balanced. And part of the reason for that is by introducing all of these crummy augments that people don't really care about, all these extra augments added in 6.5, it means the relative value of getting a really good augment like Innovator Soul has gone up enormously. So like the gap between getting something good, like legitimately good, and something that's just like mediocre has expanded by a lot in set 6.5. So really adding all those additional augments has hurt the game balance in a pretty big way, and not in a good way. So honestly, the balance would be better if they just eliminated all those extra augments and got rid of a whole bunch of the lousy ones that were added in set 6.5, but clearly that's not going to happen. A good example of more is not better is kind of the lesson there. Anyway, I also get a really, really good drop from the minion round there. I get a Warmugs, and this is the perfect item for me, because by adding 1,000 health to the unit I put it on, it ensures that they will be the unit getting Enforcered. So I'm up against the big Enforcer comp, and Irelia should not get Enforcered because she is no longer the highest health unit on my team. That is now Singed. So watch, the Enforcer is going on to Singed, who I don't care about. And that just means that this comp is going to be a lot weaker against me than before. Note that the Caitlyn actually ults the Irelia, but Irelia just barely survives. And then she proceeds to murder the entire enemy team and goes right back up to full health because she is Socialite 3. So that means that she heals off the damage she deals, and she just annihilates the entire enemy board. So again, Irelia very clearly overtuned in this patch. Definitely not as balanced as she should be, even with nerfs that have gone to her. All right, so I go level 9. I've got 30 gold to roll, so I decide now's the proper time. And I'm like, okay, can I get a Jinx? Can I get a Jace? Can I... All right, there we go. There's another one. Can I maybe find some more of my units here? I was like, can I find one Jace? All right, there we go. I wouldn't say that was the most amazing level 9 roll down. I did have a lot of money to roll with, but I am going to able to hit Jace, so that's fine. I did get another Jinx, so I have 2 out of 3 Jinxes. Would be nice to find more than one Echo. I found one Echo the entire game. So anyway, yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. Good stuff there. So here we have another one of the leftover teams. This person is the other person playing Irelia in the lobby. So, I mean, look how much health that Irelia is healing as well. It's just which one of us is going to keep healing. Their Irelia is still alive. My Irelia is still alive. Again, this unit very clearly overtuned, but I finally managed to burst through their team. They did not have a Quicksilver Sash on their Irelia either. That's like the one weakness on my board is I don't have a Quicksilver Sash for Irelia, so she can get crowd controlled. And in the end, both of our Irelias do crazy damage, but mine is the one left standing at the end of the fight. And even though we're both playing this unit, we've been able to survive, and we're both going to be able to top 4 in this match. I would really like to itemize Jinx next because my comp is kind of a one-threat comp. Like, it's basically just Irelia and has been for the whole game. I guess Seraphine kicks in some damage. She has Morellos and a Rod, so she does kick in some extra damage. But I'm very tied to Irelia. If she gets crowd-controlled in these fights, because I wasn't able to get her a Quicksilver Sash, my team comp can fall apart if that happens. So I really would like to get Jinx 2-starred, start putting items on her so I'm not this one-threat comp. All right, once again, I'm up against the Warwick player, who apparently has been winning against everybody else, even if I've been winning the last couple rounds. So watch Irelia in these fights. She is the key unit for me. She is looking to go after the Warwick over there, and she's going to keep hitting the Warwick, but oh, she actually gets popped by the other team. And Warwick is going to get low, but he's healing. I need to get that Morello's debuff on him. At least Jinx's ult is also a debuff. We're going to get the Zillion Time Bomb, but he comes out of the Zillion Time Bomb, and yeah, this is not going to be a win at this point. So somewhat bad RNG in that fight. Irelia got popped by something early in the fight. I didn't quite see what happened. We got Warwick low twice at different points in time and weren't quite able to finish him off. So somewhat bad RNG. Here, I actually get a first pick on the carousel, which surprised me. I have dropped down below the Warwick player in terms of HP. So I'm going to go ahead and take this Rage Blade. It's a good item for Jinx. I'm going to, again, trying to turn Jinx into like a secondary carry here. And it's also one of Galio who sells for 5 gold, so that's great as well. Galio, of course, also provides the spotlight, but I don't want to eat up 2 slots for him. And oh, there we go. There's Jinx. I go ahead and lock. This is kind of a mistake. What I should do is wait to see if I win the fight, because if I win the fight, I'll be at 5 gold and I can just buy this unit. But I wanted to make sure I did not miss this. All right, so this time we're up against the Enforcer player once again. True Justice Enforcer is the comp. So once again, I'm going to look to position. I did win against this comp the last time that I hit it. And I'm hoping that Irelia can just do her thing, dash around, getting a gazillion resets. They do hit 3-star Sejuani at the last second, so that's another Enforcer unit. But they do not have 4 Enforcer. They only have 3. So that's kind of nice. Jace is tanking for me. Need that Dragon to go off. There we go. Dragon's going to fear the entire board. Jinx is going to land in the back line. Now that Jinx is 2-star, she's starting to kick in some damage as well, and we win that round pretty easily. Irelia is still top damage dealt, but we win pretty easily. Now the bad news is my Ghost actually lost to the Warwick reroller, so I was like, oh, my Ghost actually lost that round. So I have to take this opponent seriously because I did just effectively lose that round. Also, you see me forget to undo the lock, so I could have gotten a free shop refresh there, and I just wasted it, which is not a huge deal, but it's still a loss. All right, so how do we position for this comp? Irelia's on the spotlight, so she can't move, but I think the rest of my units want to be on the right-hand side. Again, I'm trying to get Seraphine to apply her Morellos to the carries on the other team, to the Tryndamere and the Warwick, so I want her to be on the opposite side, so her projectile will hopefully go diagonally across the board and hit them. All right, Irelia's going to jump into the back line. She's aggroed onto Warwick again, and she actually is going to get killed by Warwick, but guess what? Warwick was Silco ulted, so yeah, he's just going to die in 6 seconds, and I'm easily going to win the fight as soon as Warwick is dead. Pretty easy to win from that point. So Silco, not really helping out there. Although I guess Warwick would have just died to Irelia if Silco hadn't ulted, so kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't kind of situation there. So I don't know if Silco is necessarily the right unit to play there or not. By the way, that person took a Challenger emblem off of the carousel, so I think they're trying to get into 6 Challenger. So I probably should be holding Kaisa units, because that's the Challenger that they would most like to add to that comp, but I don't think I do that in this game. So we've got one more minion round here. There is a Static Shiv. That's actually a very good item to roll here. It's going to give Jinx attack speed and magic resist debuff. Not so much for the actual magic damage, but just to get the magic resist debuff is going to be nice to amplify damage from units like Seraphine. So we actually find 3 Victors in the store, which is not going to be helpful. But then we find 2 Jaces, which is helpful. So I'm feeling pretty confident that I've got this now. I've got 2-star Jinx. I've got 2-star Jace. I had the 2-star Irelia with very, very good items, everything other than the Quicksilver Sash. And I've got the Dragon, which is still really, really good. The Dragon, again, fears the whole board, and I believe it gives everyone on your team 25% extra crit damage after it goes off. So let's keep watching Irelia. She's going to dash into the back line. She's going on Tryndamere here. And then she chooses to go after the Warwick. The fear goes off. Warwick is paralyzed. He's down. The Warwick is down. So we clean up easily from there. And that's going to be a pretty easy finish to this game. So GG. The Assassin Irelia for the win. Now, this was to some degree a pretty big high roll game. I mean, it was a high roll game with Innovator Soul. As I said, it's the best emblem in the game. Statistically, it's by far the best. And being able to make an Assassin Irelia on top of that was also pretty nutty. So you're not going to expect Irelia to do this in every single game, but she's definitely strong right now, and she's pretty clearly the top carry option. She's been defining the metagame for the past week or so, and I expect that to continue. So despite the nerfs that have been applied to her, it has not been enough, and she's really been dominant. So keep an eye out for Irelia in your games. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care.